NewsX Sunday Garden Roundtable. Well, this week has seen a host of legislations regarding the Finance Ministry, regarding some amendments in the Income Tax Act. We've also seen a lot of supportive legislation to the GST. It's been a historic week, but here we are here to discuss break down what all this means for the common man. So joining me in this expert panel, I have with me MK Venu. He is, of course, the founder editor of the Wire.in. We have Mr. Vinod Jain. He's a tax expert and a chartered accountant. We have Virendra Kapoor. He's a political analyst and columnist. And Chetan Sharma, an economist and also an analyst. Mr. Jain, can I begin with you? You know, there have been a lot of controversial comments regarding these income tax amendments. A lot of people are saying this is an invasion to your privacy. Why should Aadhaar be made mandatory? But first of all, I want to talk to you about the search and seizure amendments that have been made.
See, in my view, this search and seizure amendment which has been made is in the right spirit, because the government has clarified it very clearly that the existing process of taking internal approval at the highest level, the level which was prescribed earlier, will continue as it is. The reasons will be recorded as they were getting recorded earlier, and there has to be a proper base on which only the survey, search and rates can really take place. Now, the only change which it comes to is they have said that these reasons we will not disclose to anybody else other than a court. So they will not disclose it to anybody other than a court. And they said, people have been taking, this information through various channels, through RTI, and I think there are various other formal, informal channels. This information was getting passed. And in that process, it was impacting the due process of the Income Tax Department, process of, getting through this rate.
But they've also said that now a junior officer can actually go in for this search and seizure. It doesn't have to be done at a senior level.
No, I think this is completely misplaced. It is completely misplaced. The government has very clearly clarified, and the law also has been amended appropriately only, that internal approvals at the commissioner or the chief commissioner or the principal commissioner, whatever is actually required, in terms of the existing framework, will continue as it is.
Could you just justify why this amendment is required? I mean, if everything is hunky-dory, why did you need this change, this amendment, sir?
No, I think the justification, of course, the government has given. I am not speaking on behalf of the government, but I think as an analyst, as an independent chartered accountant, I feel that government is fairly justified in making this amendment, because, ultimately search and raid is a process which is not an ordinary process, which you achieve only when somebody is trying to manipulate the law. And I think our experience of last 40 years, I've been in this profession of chartered accountancy, there has not been cases, not in my knowledge, at least in the city of Delhi, where we know a very large number of cases, because all chartered accountants are duly connected with each other, where any search and seizure has been taken place just to, please somebody, or just for political reasons and the things like. They are primarily based on solid facts and information which is there. They
so then why amend the act?
My point is very simple, sir.
Yeah.
I mean, and you will perhaps would not disagree, that it's the search, at the time of the search, where actually the corruption actually takes place, which needed to be highlighted, point one. Secondly, if everything was going on, right, outside the purview of the court, why suddenly get it through the court? I still have the option of going to the court and getting a seizure done.
No, I think your point, the 2 points get mixed up. The point which I would like to respond is, as far as the corruption is concerned, and as far as the search is concerned, I am personally not in favor of search.
So that's the point I was making.
I am personally against the search provisions itself. When it comes to personal professional view, and seizure of assets. No, but I am on a different plate. What I am trying to tell you is, your another question was in relation to why it has
why bring the court in?
Why bring the court in?
No, the court.
And anyway, the court does have a jurisdiction.
But that's not the main issue.
It's not the main issue.
What is
the main issue?
Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, you just see his statements in Parliament in the first 1.5 years of his Parliament intervention on this issue. Jaitley has always said that he wants to limit the discretionary powers of the Income Tax Department, and he has always held out Income Tax Department as a big impediment to orderly regulation of the tax policy, and it was a big gap. What surprises me now is that in some sense Jaitley is going against his own instincts, probably because post demonetization they've got this 15 lakh crore lying in banks. They just want to somehow use coercive methods to get taxes out of. In my view, I think that's the reason. Otherwise, if you ask me, these provisions go against Jaitley's original instincts.
Or could it be that while making it mandatory, should you want to know the reasons, you go to the court, it becomes tougher for the income tax officer and anybody else sanctioning a raid to think twice or thrice before giving the sanction.
No, that's not the issue, sir. The issue is, because suppose a departmental inquiry is to be started against Mr. X, and he in advance knows that why this inquiry is happening, the inquiry itself get impacted. I think that is where the government is fully justified in this particular.
So you're talking about a country where the entire demonetized process was kept secretive. You think a small search cannot be mandatorily kept secret if they have to do it and implement it? I don't think that's
I'm not on that point, sir. I'm not at that point that search cannot be kept secret. The point is different. Reasons will be recorded internally, commissioner will approve it, but the point is once the search has taken place, immediately thereafter there is so much investigation for 120 days it has to go through. That investigation will get adversely impacted if all the reasons, all the records which the government is disclosed. That is the only point.
Disclose to whom?
Disclose to anybody other than the court, sir.
But why would you disclose it?
No, because
you're not,
the legal process required earlier them to, that is what they brought.
The person being searched.
I think Venu brought about a very important point. And that was about just the backtrack and the dichotomy in the statements that have been made. And this is extended by the fact on retrospective tax as well. Suddenly what this also does is opens the doors. I mean, the taxman can actually now check your books to 1962.
Correct, yes.
So that's the huge open up for what? I mean, are we looking at a prospective?
That's not correct.
That is correct.
That is not correct.
No, that is not correct.
I think
he's referring to one of the headlines.
No, this is completely incorrect. You know what the law says. It has to go. Headlines is not the law. The law is in the written.
What has changed in the law? Okay, let's clarify that.
I will tell you what is.
For retrospective.
No. I think I'll explain you. You give me a minute. I'll explain you. You know, currently the law before this amendment, which has taken place 2-3 days ago. Currently the law was that any asset or any income relating to period beyond 6 years from the current assessment years would not be touched.
Right.
Could not be asked, you are not required to explain it, etc. Yeah. Now what they are saying is, suppose we come for a search at your premises.
Right. We find something which relates to 10 years ago.
We find something which relates to 6th year and 10th year in between period, number one. Number two, they also find necessary evidence. That evidence is in your possession. That this actually income also relates to this 6th year and 10th year. Both the conditions have to be found. There is an asset which is there, which is undisclosed. Then it also proves that it contributes to 6th year to 10th year.
So 6th year has to be common.
They have extended period from 6th year to 10th year in those limited circumstances. I think this is what the government is
saying. So what you're saying is that there is no protection for any illegality detected period beyond 6th
beyond 10th year. Beyond 10th year, in any case, there's no question even now. 1962 question does not arise, sir.
So that's a misleading headline.
Suppose you have a fixed asset which you purchased 12 years ago. Nobody can question it today. 11 years ago, nobody can question it today. 10 years ago, nobody can question. But within 10th and 6th year, suppose you also have in your possession that this relate to income between 6th year to 10th year, then you can be touched.
Okay.
Fair.
Have you made, I mean, since you're now speaking for the government, more or less.
No, I'm not speaking for the government. I am a lawyer, come chartered accountant, I'm clarifying, sir. I understand the law.
There is a lot of concern that the further encroachment on citizens' privacy, only because of the new amendments. Will you explain? Is there really a concern justified?
You see, as I told you myself personally, I am not in favor of search. Secondly, the manner in which the search is today conducted, that manner also has to undergo a change. Today, when a search is conducted on somebody, the way the powers are there with the department, one feels, as if, he is a criminal, even if he is not. Ultimately, a lot of cases...
who is a criminal? The guy who is being raided?
The guy who is being searched.
Yeah. But that's really the question I was...
No, I'm coming to that. As far as the corruption issue is concerned, which he has raised, I think the government is definitely concerned about it, but so far, what concrete action we have been able to take actually is not clear to us.
But the overall image that's coming across is the terror of the taxman, that he's going to come knocking.
Tax terror was the biggest issue in the first 1.5 years of
not really.
Which Mr. Jaitley has gone at pains to say no.
Time is things so much worse. People who are being
Mr. Kapoor, I'm saying that the tax terror Jaitley was
targets that you have to
addressing as a big issue.
He was addressing.
Yeah. He was addressing tax terror as a big issue.
Look at what is happening.
It may have been a spillover, but Jaitley was addressing it as a
even now, currently, sir, I like to say, even even now, they stand at risk because, you know, what the government has very clearly said, they have directed that you will not visit anybody, you will not call anybody. And I think as the directions are, even the assessments are going to be electronic 100% from this year.
But does it have, do these draconian provisions have anything to do with the tightening of the Benami Act? I have a feeling that the two are linked.
Obviously, they are linked. No doubt about it, sir. Yeah. You know, ultimately, Benami law and the tax law are go hand in hand together. And if somebody has created assets...
So why didn't they implement Benami law all these years? 23 years, it was lying in cold storage.
Sir, Benami law was passed with 1st November 2016. Why it was not done by the previous government, I think the government's concerned can answer. I cannot answer because I am not here for the government.
But it must have spread further.
Especially not the previous government.
Sir, you are having a feeling as if I am
No. You have to extend this argument because if you look at the provisions that have been there, you know, it's empowering not just the tax officials, it's also empowering the government by merging and trying to remove and have control over the tribunals. Right. What you're doing effectively for that is you're imposing executive power. So the checks and balances are being taken away. Second, I think from my point of view, the critical issue was removal of this cap for political funding and bringing about the anonymity factor. Why should it not be disclosed? And these two areas where actual control over the political
just before we go into that, I want to also discuss this issue, while we're on the issue of privacy, is the Aadhaar card being made mandatory. Why is that so important? You said it's a very good idea before while we were talking.
No, I think it is definitely a very good idea, you know, because we have been looking at it because there are without Aadhaar card, the people have several PAN numbers. People have false identity. They are filing income tax returns. You know, all kind of things have been happening.
What is to stop people from getting several Aadhaar cards who's got several
No, I think it is not possible. It is not possible because the government have the
biometric.
I think that is,
the thumb impression will ensure that there is no duplication.
All right.
And the person concerned can be traced anytime, anywhere in the country. Okay. You know, otherwise just by your address, by your photograph, it is very difficult to trace you. Isn't it?
I think the meritocracy of having a single identification, you know, has been proven well even in the US. So there is enough evidence to suggest it should happen. So I don't think that necessarily will.
All administrations have to weigh, you know, the pros and cons of citizens' privacy with the needs of, you know, administration, which everybody pays taxes. You have to consider the fact that given half a chance, even millionaires and billionaires will like not to pay a penny. And to that extent, it's a tough job for any administration to whether you encroach somebody's privacy to make sure that he pays his dues to the public.
Privacy is also
loaded word.
And this will widen the tax net. I'm sure this Aadhaar is bound to widen the tax net further.
You know, just to add to his point, see, the poor in this country want to be recognized by the state because they want welfare to be delivered. So the poor are voluntarily, subscribing to Aadhaar. So let that happen. So if subsidies can be delivered through Aadhaar and savings can be done, so be it. So the Supreme Court has also said that it should be voluntary. So voluntariness, and I think that constitutional bench is going to that. So I think that position is the best position actually. People who want to...
But for opening a bank account, you need Aadhaar. That Supreme Court has also said. Yeah, only for the the delivery of subsidies, you can't make it mandatory. Although it defeats the purpose. Although
I feel that if it is voluntary and if a poor man says, I'm willing to give my Aadhaar number for getting all these benefits, so be it. Why should the Supreme Court say that it should not be made mandatory?
He should be happy, in fact.
Yeah, he should be happy. In fact, it's people like us. If
the middleman is not pocketing his fertilizer or his rations.
So it's only people like us. If we don't want to give our Aadhaar card for, say, filing returns, well, I would support that. Why would I have my various other identifications? No, PAN number is there, everything is there.
And also at a time when you already
see... They're going to link the PAN and Aadhaar now.
No, at a time, I think Venu's point is also critical. At a time when cyber crime is on the rise, it also exposes your identifications, which is something... I'm saying...
Which is what Chidambaram raised
these need to be considered.
Plus, the manner in which
they need to be considered. Yeah, the surreptitious manner, I think, is the one that's...
Deadline. So you can't file returns until you have Aadhaar, until... Now there will be a huge rush for Aadhaar cards.
I think most people do.
And those who most of the people have Aadhaar
cards. I'm sure.
I have no SSC known to me who don't have Aadhaar card. Actually,
I know, exactly. I don't know anybody who doesn't.
The linking process will happen quickly. We chartered accountants will do it very, very fast.
Okay, you chartered accountants have a question for you.
I think there is a sense of high-handedness in a lot of things that have been going on, and then surreptitiousness. the surreptitious way in which, through the money bull tacking, the entire thing was introduced, I think that is something which irks the person.
But that has happened in the past also, which is what he's made a point of.
Actually, he talked about the post-demonetization issues and change of Jaitleyji's strategy to actually address the tax issues. In fact, the manner in which...
It's not Jaitley's strategy, it's the government's collective strategy.
And
maybe on some things he doesn't agree.
It's a publicized strategy. It's not as if it's
a public strategy because ultimately...
Publicized, advocated strategy.
So basically what you're saying is that being high-handed has
I'm not saying at all, I'm not at all saying being high-handed. Empowering the state to extract its due from the citizen is always a good policy, pays political dividends. Yeah, don't forget that, he referred to the demonetization. Where did it, and opposition, where it is. Now,
so politically it was
politically also,
but
economically also, but maybe the result will be
even politically. Let's say if it's able to unearth money of the opposition politicians.
Even if it is,
I'm saying it's a good step for the country.
But that was the aim.
That was not the.
That's not the issue, sir.
That wasn't the issue. But in this case, making it tougher for somebody to evade taxes, I think is a good strategy. And Aadhaar, I know that there are lots of people who are about, encroaching privacy and all. But I do think that in case it serves in plugging the leak, widening the tax.
Here I want to say one small thing. When it came to the government representative or somebody said that they don't want to, when it comes to political funding by big businesses,
yes.
What was said was that our polity is not mature enough for these things to be made transparent, which business is paying in which party, so it should be kept anonymous. So if our polity is not mature for that, I'm asking, is our polity mature enough to handle this Aadhaar privacy issues and the other, cyber security issues?
Let me counter that with an example. You see, when the app started here, they said whatever we get, we'll put it on our website. And now they have, the figures that came, the figures came, they have some 110 crores. It's the youngest party in this country, and it's got 110 crores already. So when I asked, why do you have removed those names? Who gave you this 110 crores? He said, well, if we put out our names, then the government or the other agencies start harassing them. That's a very good reason why you need to keep it private, so that otherwise one administration takes out on the other.
But sir,
that means we don't trust each other.
That's being pragmatic.
Anonymity for political funding also raises question of the KYC norm. What kind of money is coming in?
No, it's corporate money. It's not that coming from...
You can have a shell company. You can have a shell company, for God's sake, which gets the money through
there are companies which have been formed only to launder money.
Tata's had formed a trust where they, in fact, it came out also. They released those figures. How much they gave to BJP, Congress and other parties. Tata's had found. So did, in fact, Birla.
That has come out, yes.
That is also
a short break, and we're going to come back to find out what Venu wants to ask, but we take a short break first. Welcome back to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. We are here discussing the recent income tax amendments that have been passed in the Parliament, and also how much they impact our privacy or not. You had a question to ask.
I want to ask one question on political funding. One example, which our chartered accountant friend can answer. Recently, the government retrospectively amended the Representation of People's Act to allow funding from a foreign company. Actually, they had already taken, BJP and Congress had taken funds from Vedanta, their subsidiary here. It was until then defined as a foreign company under the Act. Then they said...
It was a one-off mistake here.
Yeah, it was a mistake. They corrected it. One-off mistake. They corrected it by retrospectively. Yeah. Because they lost the case in the High Court. High Court actually indicted them, both the parties. Now, if foreign companies can contribute, can a company based out of Mauritius, which is run by some NRIs and some has some business, some trading business.
The Shell company.
Shell, some trading business. No, it may not be Shell. Maybe doing some import-export. We know what import-export means. No? So suppose that starts contributing. So are you comfortable with anonymity then? That's my limited question.
Sir,
But that anonymity is already there for all shell companies. All the, what is the round tripping of money?
Now under the Prime Minister under G20
now that you made every company anonymous. So you actually, in a way, you're encouraging anonymity.
Now the Prime Minister under G20 is in the process of actually making this transparent, but this goes against that, no?
Yeah,
let me respond to this question actually, because I don't think any company sitting outside India can actually contribute money in India. There is a FCRA regulation, Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, which clearly prohibits.
It has been amended. You're not aware of it. That's what I'm talking about.
FCRA has been amended.
It has been. The representative and FCRA, both.
No, but for this political
for this purpose
has been amended.
Yeah, it has
this part I have not seen there recently.
Yeah, recently.
3 days ago.
No, it was amended. It was about
only to get around this Vedanta payment. Otherwise, no. And Vedanta also.
It's a general amendment.
Vedanta India only paid. Vedanta outside India doesn't pay.
Notionally, it's a foreign company.
Yeah, it was considered a foreign company in the definition earlier.
But the larger question is anonymity for political donors. But your own taxpayers' anonymity is being decreased more and more. You've been made to.
That's the point. That is
the largest dichotomy.
That's a big dichotomy.
This is the point which the government possibly is trying to attach is, suppose I make 10 crore to Congress and it is known to everybody. Then BJP and AAP, both of them could be unhappy with me. What they are only saying is, I'm not saying whether it will be able to ultimately, what implication it will have, but I think the trial is in the right direction. Because what they are saying is, I go, issue a check, buy bonds, and then bonds, once it is given, I give to whom, which bonds have gone is not happening. But it is not anonymous. When I am buying the bonds, I have to issue RTGS or through check, I have to really pay. My friend said this could be Benami companies, this could be skeleton companies. That question may not really arise because the deduction for this political donation, one is entitled to. Once you are entitled to this deduction, I don't think people will really like to leave this deduction. You save 33% of your donation by way of tax payment, actually. Please appreciate what I'm saying. So then, this skeleton companies don't have income, so what is they're going to do? They're going to save.
Vinodji, even today, our company law allows some of our big business groups to have some 300 companies whose balance sheets you don't know. They don't appear, they don't audit, they don't have
everything is on MCA, sir. MCA 21, everything is there. No, Ministry of Corporate Affairs site, everything is there.
These are private companies, run by various trusts. So they can, or various other private companies, those profits can be...
and those Benami companies he's referring to have invested big in the media also.
Exactly.
What is the justification of this? Okay, let's understand that. Let's clarify.
As I have understood this justification is that by exposing my name when I give money to one political party, it becomes difficult for me to survive in the marketplace, as Kapoor rightly said. And sometimes, even if the other parties are very nice to me, but somewhere in my mind, as well as in the mind of public at large, there could be apprehension, this is a Congressy, this is a Congressy person, because he always donated to Congress.
This is not an indirect attack on your democracy.
No, this is
my idea of your democracy.
Like your vote is kept secret. Sir, like your vote is kept secret, your donation is also kept secret.
I'll give you an example about this, only this point. You see, long years ago, the Jain started a newspaper called The Motherland. And this is a heyday of Indira Gandhi. One ad from DCM, and the old man Bharatram was around, it appeared. Somewhere in the evening, a top Congress leader happened to meet Bharatram, shook his hand and he said, मैंने वो Motherland में आपका ad देखा तब मुझे याद आई. And Lala Bharatram got the idea, this fellow doesn't want me to advertise in a Jain paper. He stopped the ad and he told it upfront to the late Hansraj Gupta, who used to be the chairman of this Jain Trust. He said, आप मेरे से cash ले लीजिए, मैं advertisement नहीं दूंगा. This is the problem. It eventually boils down to how mature your people are, how mature your democracy is.
So which year did this happen, sir?
This was in 1971, 72.
So it's taken 30, 40
no, you
understand and realize that
you don't have to go back, because you also heard the defense of AAP.
Yes.
Saying we have removed those names because the people are being harassed, threatened by whoever is in authority. So that's the reason. Maybe they're right or wrong, I don't know, but this is the reason given officially for not disclosing from whom they've collected 110 crores.
Okay.
Public
So-
position is that it should be everything should
No,
be.
but they've changed their mind
They
because of
decided out, but
harassment.
we'll put out a PAN numbers also of those donors, which you haven't done.
Sir, our donations were, most of it was coming from outside India.
Outside,
That was also a credit
I'm
concern.
only quoting what they...
But he's giving the rationale for it, which is
Secondly,
interesting. And
if
we have to go back
beautiful,
to...
strong people who are supporting you, I don't think it's really a problem. If there is any case which is being made out or some kind of a threat, I'm sure that could be
They
publicized.
said that
and
on television any number of times.
just to make a
But then
grandiose
Chetan,
statement
no, but
without
it's a-
facts. Yeah.
In other words, they also taken cash.
Exactly, that's the point.
the point I'm
That's the
saying.
point
So
I'm
that's
making.
why-
Even for 2,000 rupees,
Okay.
there should be name, PAN number.
This is what they
Even-
said. They
even
started
people
out
who
like
contribute
that.
up to 2,000 rupees.
But now we've gone the other way around. We've
Yeah,
given
difficult.
the...
That is
There is no transparency.
Because
Sir, that
to
is
take-
difficult, sir, because you know what is
Why?
happening.
Why?
Suppose I am a poor man, I don't have, I want to
अरे
contribute to
मनोज
the
जी,
party.
जो पहले 20,000 में स्प्लिट करते थे अब 2,000 थोड़ा पेपर वर्क एक्स्ट्रा होगा
वो बात आपकी सही है, आपकी
और वो भी
definition
चलता
सही
है।
है।
हो गया उसको 2,000 में स्प्लिट
For
कर
the smaller one, that is also there. But what we think that not much has changed since the Jansang incident. Only thing, Chetan, what's happened in the last 30, 40 years, we've identified the problem or tried to find some solution. But the mindset, the maturity still hasn't yet come in. But that's it from us. Thank you for watching this show. We'll see you again same time next week.